Due to the craziness that is Adventure Time, I sometimes forget that Jake is the father of many children. In most episodes, Jake is so happy and calm that we end up forgetting the responsibilities he has, not only towards his children but also towards his wife. Personally, I think Jake simply wasn't ready to be a father yet, and this episode is here to show that. This episode addresses the dissatisfaction that one of Jake's children has with his father. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And finally, let's start with the video. Right at the beginning of the episode, we have a very short scene showing a bird dad taking care of his kids, but he fails miserably, all due to lack of attention. I found this quite funny, especially because the entire episode is about this. Just replace the bird with Jake and the little birds with Jake's children. This scene was short, but I found it a cool detail. Next, we see one of Jake's sons messing with his computer. It seemed like he was working, but it could also just be my imagination. The same son leaves that place. Then, we get a quick glimpse of each of Jake's children. Each of them seems to have their own personality, very different from Jake's. Not long after, we see the same son, going crazy due to hunger. Apparently, it was their birthday. All of them. And Jake was responsible for bringing the food. Despite seeming like an easy task, Jake was already 3 hours late. This was enough to annoy Jake's children, and they all start complaining about the same thing, their father's absence. Okay, not everyone was complaining. In fact, one of them was trying to defend him, but she knew that her siblings' complaints were valid. After many complaints, Jake finally arrives with Finn, in true Adventure Time style. He quickly wishes them a happy birthday and says he brought nothing for his children except for a little bit of macaroni. The frustration of his children is evident, but at least one of them was looking at things in a positive light. Then, the son of Jake, named Kim, and just to say, he seems to be much more mature than all the others, he will also be the main focus of this episode. Continuing, he calls Jake for a private conversation and announces that he bought their house. Jake asks why, and he doesn't give a reasonable explanation. When they return home, they see that Kim put it up for rent and wanted their treasure room. I never understood why that room existed, let alone where that treasure came from, but the important thing is that in this episode, the room was empty. Then Kim offers Finn and Jake the stairs as if it were an apartment. In other words, he wanted to charge his own father to live in that house, and seeing that they couldn't afford a decent room, he offers the stairs as if it were the room. To be honest, the way he described this situation didn't make it seem that bad.
Anyway, as you can see, this beauty offers direct first and second floor access, superb craftsmanship, and etc. I suppose you're familiar.
Finn, completely lost, asks when they will get the house back, clearly not leaving Kim so pleased. At that moment, some potential tenants arrive, and the house tour is about to begin. Kim starts giving Finn and Jake a bunch of rules, which clearly doesn't please Finn, but there was nothing to be done since the house wasn't theirs. When they try to sleep in that clearly uncomfortable situation, this happens.
So I'll work this thing.
Gee, but it's great to be back home. Hey, Mr. B?
Yeah. I can't wait to wash my gross fat butt.
Finn goes to clean up in the bathroom and accidentally invades one of the tenants' apartments. This same tenant ends up calling the police. Finn and Jake thought the police were there to help them, when in fact, they were there to arrest them. Finn, already confused, asks Jake how someone could buy their house, which was given to them by Marceline, and now they're in jail. Jake explains something interesting to Finn. He basically explains that laws were not made to protect the weak but to ensure the power of the strong. When someone strong decides how things should be, the law will say that this is the fair way. The funny thing is that my GP teacher used to say the same thing. The weaker ones cannot win against the stronger ones. The law and justice are there to ensure that. They themselves design the entire system, and you won't be able to win against them. Clearly, this case wasn't the police's fault since they were just following orders given to them, but the point still stands. After a while, it's announced that their bail has been paid, and they can go. Kim paid the bail, and he wanted to charge his father for it. You might think he's being a jerk, but in reality, he just wants his father to leave this world of fantasies and adventures where he lives and become a more responsible person. It's as if he wanted to transform his father into someone he could be proud of. He wants his father to get a job and have a normal life. Jake doesn't understand this well and ends up wondering what he did wrong. Finn suggests that they find money to buy the house back, and Jake reconciles with his son later. Then Jake suggests that they rob a bank or something, but in the middle, he remembers that he buried a golden bone in the backyard. When Kim realizes the two digging in his house, he goes to them and sees that they want to buy the house back using that golden bone. However, since they found that bone in his house, that bone belongs to him, so he could simply take it. Now you tell me, do you think that's fair? Do you think it's fair that the bone Jake took from who knows where, buried in a place that was his home at the time, is taken from him just because he's no longer the owner of the house? This reminds me of something very interesting. I don't know if it's in all countries, but in most of them, if you find something valuable in the soil of your house, in reality, that something doesn't belong to you but to the government. There are many cases of people finding diamonds, gold, or oil on their property, and that something was taken by the government with the promise of giving them some part of the value of those things, but they never received anything. In my view, this wouldn't be fair, but what can you do? Laws are laws. Jake becomes very sad and continues to be confused about why his son would do this to his own father. Finn thinks he does it because he had problems related to gambling or something, and then they decide to go after Kim, thinking that if they solved this problem, Kim wouldn't need their money anymore and would leave them alone. So they follow him to his house and find out that money was never a problem. In fact, Kim had a lot of money. When they get his attention, Kim asks if Jake shouldn't be working, and when Jake says he didn't even look for a job, Kim's disappointment is evident. Jake says he didn't have money to exchange for the house, but he had something else, which in this case was paternal love. He offers an ocarina to his son, and I don't know what he felt at that moment, but that was enough for him to accept the offer, thus returning the house to his father. When he goes back inside the house and his wife asks how it went, he replies by saying,
He still lives the life of a child. I mean, it's his choice, but I really thought if he got a job and moved out of that treehouse, it could have put some fire under him.
Oh, I'm sorry, sweet.
No, I think I was wrong about Dad. I think he's good.
And so the episode ends. This little ending shows that what Kim wanted was what I had already mentioned, a normal father with a normal life whom he could be proud of. Kim knows that his father is still somewhat innocent, and he wanted to give him a reality check. If you, like me, enjoyed this episode, consider leaving a like and subscribing. The next video can be about something of your choice, so don't forget to leave it in the comments. A hug, and until next time.